Well, I believe that that there are degrees of self-love, and people confuse self-love with pleasure, and it's not the same. That the more we are content and love ourselves, the less need we have in our environment for love. See that? And love and need has been very confusing for a lot of people. So if you have two individuals, and by the way, relationships aren't just with one person. We get different things from different people that we have in our lives, and we shouldn't limit our relationship to one person. Not to say that you can't be in an intimate relationship. I'm saying that we have numerous relationships that are equally as important in the grand scope of who we are as souls on the journey. We just can't love one person and despise everybody else. It's got to be consistent, right? So, but in a relationship where we're talking about men and women, the number one thing is having the same purpose. That if you have a purpose to truly be your best, and you have a person in your life that wants that same thing, well, you're heading in the same direction. And if your passion is to change the world, if your passion is to make a difference, if your passion is to end world hunger, if your passion is to resolve global warming, your passion is to lead by example, whatever your passion is, to have an abundant life, doesn't matter to me. And those two people share that very same purpose, then they're moving in the same direction. If they understand then that evolution means that there will be certain things that we can agree on, and that I'm going to bring my best to the relationship, and you bring your best to the relationship, then we have something in common. And when I'm not at my best, I'm going to excuse myself and not ask you to make me feel better. I'm going to make sure that I'm sovereign enough that when I make my way back to connect with you, that we are going to celebrate our triumphs. You have your world, I have my world. Let's go, and then when we connect, let's make sure that we reflect what we've learned. If I'm stuck and I need a perspective, I want to know your perspective, but only when I ask. If I'm ready to ask, then give me your greatest truth. That's what great relationships do. We support one another in that way. And then it's a give and take, which means then mistakes will be made. There will be challenges. You are going to show certain aspects of a program when you're switched on. No problem with that. But the question is, how long are you going to stay there? Because if you stay there, then you may say something, I want this, with your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind is saying something else. People awakening on the path, on the journey, it takes great effort to nurture the space for that kind of evolution. But people who do this well, that are self-aware, do not have to work in a relationship. I will not work in a relationship. That's not my job. If I'm working in a relationship, then it's not flowing. If you bring your best and I bring my best, and we celebrate our efforts every single day, we talk about what we've learned, we talk about if we had another opportunity, how we could do it better. If I allow you to take your thought all the way to the end, and I say, then how can I support you? How can I bring that out in you? What would be the best thing? And if you lose that sense of purpose, or you fall from grace, how can I, in that moment, what do you want me to tell you if I notice it? To tell me the exact words, like, you're doing it again. Okay. Not like, you're doing it again, but like, hey, you're doing it again. So that the person can, get back on purpose. Now that begins to create a great bond. And that bond is built on true love. So when you have a relationship where you are overcoming needs, you're overcoming the belief of the way relationships should be based on our observation of our own parents and the way they treated one another. When you really are working for something greater than yourself, as a purpose or a truth, and you share that same purpose, there's a bond that happens automatically that's intangible, that requires less work. It's not working on the relationship. It's about working on yourself. And I think that we have in our community people who demonstrate that beautifully. And the side effect of it is that they have magic in their lives. I think that when people reach the point where they, and this has happened to me and it's happened to many people in our community, where they reach a certain level, a certain status where they have everything they need. The fundamental thing that happens to those people is that they start thinking about, how am I going to make a difference in the world? What legacy? What am I going to leave? How am I going to make a difference or change the world in some way? So we think we want all those things, but really what we want to do is really contribute. So I think when we have a purpose that's bigger than us, it's the highest form of motivation, mission motivation, duty motivation, purpose motivation. When we have a selfless vision that's bigger than us, I think we're wired to be that the living organism called the species of human beings, it is a living organism. In this current era, the age of selfish individuality has to die. That we are a species, and the species of a living organism takes care of one another. They heal one another. They educate one another. They teach one another. They inspire one another. They give to one another. They serve one another. That's what a living organism does. They cooperate, communicate, collaborate with one another. That's what it does. And so we are wired to be communal. We are wired to create common unity, community. And that community is built on the frequency of love. And when you come from love, you come from a different consciousness. It's no longer about you. You feel so amazing. You feel this feeling that isn't going away. That the only thing you want to do is have other people feel what you're feeling. And the only way we do that is to give. We say, I feel so amazing. I want you to feel the way I feel, so I don't need this. Here, take that. That kind of community goes counter to the current situation in the world where everything's breaking down. But this is a time where we have to demonstrate what that new community looks like. So when you have connection, when you have community, when you have true friendship, the person's really just giving because there's something unusual about them and you're worthy enough to receive. And you feel that feeling of receiving that you want to give to somebody else. You create a very different consciousness. You create a common unity or a community that's bonded and connected in the frequency of love. And then when love is the common frequency, it's very difficult to break that community up because it's the glue that holds them together. So that's my vision of where I'd like to go with this work.